Hey Scoobs, Alex here.
Dre here.
And now that it is finally 2018, we are doing our countdown of our top 4 movies from 2017 in Scooby Foursome.
Here come the goods.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Keller, 4-1. Why don't you kick us off? What were your favorite movies of 2017?
Okay, so my number 4 was Girls Trip.
Ooh.
It was a great movie. It was super funny. I loved the message. It had an amazing cast. We had Queen Latifah, Tiffany Haddish. She was hilarious.
Haddish, shameless self-promotion. Worked with her on the Carmichael show. There it is. Yeah.
All right. Regina Hall and Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yes.
And I love that it was just like these 4 strong lead characters that women doing comedy. Like there was no male leads really.
Sisters doing it for themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also like the whole message was like you can be a strong independent woman. You don't need no man, which I loved. And it was just like it was a laugh out loud comedy for me. I really enjoyed it.
I get it. And again, almost like Bridesmaids did a few years ago, I feel like this is another movie that proved that yes, Hollywood, women can be funny if you write them if you give them good material.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, coming in at my number 4, I'm hitting you up with woo. All right, here we go.
Okay. It's like, did he forget what he was going to
No,
say?
I just love the movie so much. I had a hard time deciding on my number 4. Thor Ragnarok. Now, the reason why I love this movie so much is because I really didn't like Thor 1 or 2. Like, as far as I'm concerned, they're the least good of the Marvel films. But this one, I've always said that they never really found the right tone with Thor until Chris Hemsworth played the dumb secretary in the Ghostbusters reboot with the all-females Ghostbusters we just talked about. Difference is, that was not good material for those 4 women. But ironically enough, the man, Chris Hemsworth, was the standout in that movie, and they played him as a lovable, narcissistic dummy. I feel like
just a dumb jock.
Just a dumb jock. I feel like the producers and director Taika Waititi of Thor Ragnarok saw him in Ghostbusters and said, wait a minute, we've been screwing up this whole time. That's the take on Thor. Instead of making him like this proud, noble King Arthur type hero, make him like a narcissistic, self-absorbed, but lovable dummy of the things where he's like, I had a hammer and I threw it off in the air and it pulled me off. It's like, oh my God, the hammer pulled you off. It did it to the air, pulled me off. And just like in Thor Ragnarok, if you haven't seen it, he just talks about himself so much. And he's like, I have a muscle there and a muscle there, which means I'm the smartest one. Like just so many things where he just comes off as a dumb jock. I'm like, finally, I can't believe you're having the 3rd one, but you finally found your take on Thor. And I hope they continue this over in the next Avengers movie.
Okay, well, now my number 3. Oh, okay. I love this one. Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2.
Yes, another Marvel film.
Basically, the reason this is my number 3 is because of Groot.
Baby Groot.
I loved Baby Groot. It was so cute, and it just was great. And also, we finally got to see his dad.
Sure,
Which was, like, in the first film, I was like, that was a big question for me. So I was glad we kind of got that gratification, even though his dad was an asshole.
Played by the always boss, Kurt Russell.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were talking about Star-Lord. I was going to say Chris Pratt.
Well, Chris Pratt, yeah. But
yes.
like, come on. Like, if you're a movie fan, you know how boss Kurt Russell is.
But I loved that movie. I loved Zoe Saldana and Chris Pratt's little, their relationship together, watching that grow.
They had a real Sam and Diane will they won't they thing going on there.
Yeah, and I'm excited about it. They're going to be in the Avengers Infinity War,
yes.
So I can't wait to get more of them. And I thought it was really fun. It was just, lots of 80s references, music, nostalgia, everything that you want. Yeah. Love the Hasselhoff references. Yeah. Just like everything you want in one of those fun family action movies.
Awesome. And to that point, on the Baby Groot, he at the end credit scene where he's Teenage Groot is going to be his form in what's it called? Yeah, Avengers Infinity War. So I can't wait for him to be like all pissy and shitty, like I am Groot.
Yeah, he was definitely throwing some tune towards the end.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm with you. Okay, coming in at my number 3, we have It. Obviously, the remake of the 1990 Stephen King television movie. To me, I'm normally really hard on reboots and remakes, but I feel as though It did what you're supposed to do with a remake/reboot, which is take what worked from the original and throw out what didn't work and update it for a contemporary audience. This movie was creepy, but it also had a lot of humor in it. It had a great cast. All the kids from the kid from Stranger Things. You had the one kid who was actually a young Star-Lord in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I love the storyline with the little girl and how her dad was doing stuff to her, and the kid was like a sort of agoraphobic and sort of like always like had a sick ailment. You had the one black kid. Pretty much every kid in the movie had sort of a social issue that they had to overcome. But the thing I loved about it is the social issue they had to overcome was way scarier than the monster they had to face, which is why they were able to defeat Pennywise in the first place, which is just good writing, and ultimately it shows that, kids can overcome and persevere through bullies, abuse, and evil clowns who want to eat your fear.
I have nothing to say about it because I'm too scared to watch that movie.
She will not do horror movies.
Nope.
Yeah.
My number 2 was Disaster Artist. So funny. I just saw this one in theaters and I was crying laughing the whole time. Like, it usually takes me a while to laugh out loud in a movie, and I was slapping the person next to me. James Franco and Dave Franco together doing, like, basically, if you don't know, The Disaster Artist is the making of The Room, the cult film that Johnny Wiseau made himself, and it just bombed
Super
originally.
Popular out here in LA.
Yeah, it was a horrible movie,
Terrible
but it
movie.
gained a cult following because it was so bad.
Exactly.
Yeah. So The Disaster Artist is the story of that, and James Franco just nails Johnny Wiseau. Like, it is so funny. You also feel bad. I felt kind of bad laughing at it because,
I was fine. He's making his money.
Yeah, well, he's making his money now. But you're like laughing at this guy that's just trying to chase his dream, which also resonated with me because, it's Hollywood. We're chasing our dreams out here. We're trying
we're
to make
suckers
stuff
for
happen.
movies about Hollywood. Yeah.
And it just, it pulled at the heartstrings for me a little bit. But mostly it was just very funny.
Exactly. But like you said, I love at the end that even though we want to rip on this guy and make fun of him, he did actually make his dream come true.
Yeah, he got the last laugh because he's
laugh.
making big money from this now.
Exactly. So I'm with you. Love The Disaster Artist. All right. Coming in at not my number 2.
He always does this. Just when he gets emotional.
I'm feeling the feels.
Okay.
I'm a sucker for an unconventional love story, especially has like a little magic or mysticism in it. Love movies like Serendipity or Ghost, where it's like the power of true love can overcome even death or monsters.
Get to it.
Shape of Water. The film written and directed by one of the many nerd Jesuses, Guillermo del Toro. Pretty much the story of a fishman who gets kidnapped and tortured in a government facility. A mute cleaning woman who's sort of ostracized and alone during the 1950s or 60s, around that time, not sure which decade. But basically, when she finds him, she realizes that this is a man or creature that really understands her, and they form a bond. And when I say they form a bond, I mean they form a bond.
Do they show it?
You always want to see the penis.
What does a fishman penis look like? And also, why do they show so many boobs on camera but then no dicks?
No, they don't show it. Although to that point, yeah, within the first 30 seconds of the movie, she's in the bathtub, pleasuring herself. Of course. Male director.
Don't get any view of the fishman.
Don't know what to tell you, but no, they don't show it. But again, it's a bigger story than that. It's about the love, the connection, and it really shows that even when maybe there's a language barrier or maybe there's a cultural barrier, ultimately,
or a species barrier,
the species barrier, ultimately, true love conquers all.
That's beautiful, Andre.
Thank you. Yeah.
Truly beautiful.
I got the feels.
Okay, now to my number 1, Baby Driver. I was obsessed with this movie. Of course, it was directed by Edgar Wright, who, one of our nerd idols.
Another nerd Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was such a good movie. Ansel Elgort starred in it, who I have a little crush on.
She kind of does. Yeah, she finds him adorkable.
Yeah, he's so adorable.
Yeah.
But, he's just a nice guy that got caught up in some bad luck with some bad guys, and now he has to rob people, stealing cars, rob banks. He finds this love, and the love, they're going to ride away in the sunset together, but then the cops catch them, and he goes to jail, and she waits for him. And that's what I love. It's so cute.
Good love story. I love this movie, although it doesn't have the magic, so...
But it has music. Lots of music in it.
Great soundtrack.
It's really cool the way that they have the soundtrack with the movie, like, it just makes sense. Like the soundtrack kind of flows through the whole time. He has his headphones in the whole time. So
he has a hearing impairment.
Yeah. So you're hearing the music that he's playing in his headphones.
Right. You're almost seeing it through his eyes.
Yeah, and it's just like, I think the way it's done is just super artistic.
No, you're right. Great film. I love Edgar Wright.
And that's a real love story because it's real people.
I like love stories with magic.
And Fishman.
And Fishman. And coming in at my number one, the anti-love story of the year. But hands down, no argument. You can fight me on this one. My favorite movie of 2017 was Get Out. This is the story of basically a brother who is dating a white girl. He goes up to meet her family for a weekend. They're having to get together. And again, as a black guy who has dated every race under the sun, I don't discriminate. I've been in situations where, yes, you're hanging out with maybe your girlfriend's white parents, and the first thing they want to do is talk to you about how they voted for Obama. Happens in this. There's so many things in this movie that I'm like, yes. I relate to that. And it also has like a deeper message. It has like themes about cultural appropriation, slavery, Black Lives Matter, how sort of in a perfect world, white people would love to get rid of black people. And it has basically an ending that if you have any sort of social justice in your heart, you stand up and clap, because when you think the po-po's about to take them away, you're like, no, I'm TS motherfucking A. Watch Get Out if you haven't seen it. People thought it was a horror movie. It kind of is, but it's more of a psychological thriller / comedy, and I think it gives you a lot to think about.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so those were our favorite movies of 2017. Again, we're not saying they were the best movies of the year, just the ones that we love the best.
Just our personal preference.
So easy in the comments. Be kind. Don't be like, why didn't you mention this? Why didn't you mention this? We're just saying what our favorite movies were.
But you can tell us what your favorite movies were.
Exactly.
And we'll respect that, just like you're going to respect us.
There it is. Because can't we start off 2018 in a word of peace and respectfulness?
Just a mutual circle of love.
There it is. Yeah, let's start off this year right, y'all. All right, until next time, I've been Andre.
And I'm Alex.
Stay groovy, Scoobies.